Wonder where I should go on holiday. No, this isn't quite what I had in mind. This is nice, but this is nice. Oh, what a lovely inn. And look at all these fresh vegetables. And look at this beautiful countryside. It's so... Oh, look at this. It's some of the native wildlife. Hello, friend. Well, this wasn't quite what I had in mind. Okay, well, that's behind us now. It's time for a nice, refreshing brew. Should have stayed on the tram. Welcome to the next video in my series on World of Warcraft. In this series, I edit World of Warcraft, or specifically the world itself, the world of Azeroth, by using Azeroth Core. I'm hosting this locally on my network, and I make changes to the database in order to do funky things like what you're about to see in this video. You guys really wanted to see this video. It got way more upvotes than I expected it to, so here it is. Hogger does Goldshire. Ah, Goldshire. It's the place to be, calm and relaxing. Except when it's not. So to make all of this possible, we obviously have to make changes to the world, but what are those changes? Well, first we have to change Hogger himself. We have to boost him up to level 33, and we have to change his location. Now, we're actually technically not going to change his location at all. We're going to create a second copy of Hogger. That's because inside of the database we have a creature template, and that allows us to create as many copies of that template. That's why it's called a template. What we also have to do is edit some of the other creature templates in the world, namely all of the NPCs in Goldshire. We have to change them so that they actually attack Hogger when they see him, and that involves changing the faction and how they react to Hogger by making every NPC a god. I've actually not edited some of the NPCs so you can see what happens when you don't make these changes. And finally, we have to lay out some waypoints in the world for Hogger to follow, because we want him to go from the location where I spawn him all the way into the heart of Goldshire itself. But before we get into the nerdy stuff, let's see Hogger actually reach Goldshire with our changes in place. And that is Goldshire, mostly wiped out. So how did we spawn our second copy of Hogger? How did we create those waypoints, and how did we attach those waypoints to Hogger himself? Well, spawning a new NPC into the world is actually quite simple. With our GM commands, we can use NPC add and then the ID of the creature template in the database. This will bring a copy of that creature into the world based on that template. And because I use SQL, which you can see on screen here, in order to make a change to Hogger, taking him from level 11 to level 33, you can see that our new Hogger, the copy that we're now creating, is indeed level 33. Next, we can use a GM command, which is .wp or .waypoint, in order to plot the waypoints actually in game, so we can move around our character, and when we get to a place where we want a waypoint, we can just type the command or we can hit a macro and we get the waypoint. And finally, we just basically attach the waypoint system to our copy of Hogger. So that's Hogger heading towards Goldshire, but what about those NPCs? How did we go about editing those? The first thing that was required was to get the NPCs to react negatively towards Hogger. Most of them are actually quite passive. This is because they have a faction flag set on them of number 12. This is a Stormwind faction, but it is a passive Stormwind faction. I need them to be members of Stormwind faction number 11, which is the same as the gods themselves, so that when they see Hogger, they attack. I also had to change them to actually be gods as well, so that they would actually attack, because just the faction change alone wasn't enough. And as you can see with the blacksmith scene, that they all get stuck into Hogger as one coherent unit rather than just standing by. Okay, but that's enough of the technical details. Let's see Hogger's final stand. I actually plotted those waypoints all the way up to the gates of Stormwind, which means Hogger is going to try his luck against some level 75 gods. Place your bets now. And that concludes it. Unfortunately, he didn't quite make it. Hogger, level 33 and elite, as tough as he is, as badass as he is, as much as he just slaughtered the entire of Goldshire and a noob player, as you saw there, he's not quite tough enough for those level 75 Stormwind gods. I really enjoy making this content, and I hope that you enjoy watching it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got my own little personal Hogger to deal with.